Deep in the heart of a merciless desert, where rain barely fell and rivers were non-existent, one of the ancient world's most incredible cities emerged over 2,000 years ago. Its inhabitants transformed barren rocks into a wealthy trading hub, a crossroads for caravans from all across the East. Here, they traded silk from China, frankincense from South Arabia, spices from India, and countless other priceless goods. This city shouldn't have existed at all. Around it lay nothing but jagged cliffs, endless sand, and a blistering sun. A single mistake meant death. Yet, against all odds, this is exactly where the capital of the Nabatean kingdom rose, a city we know today as Petra. Its streets bustled with people, its marketplaces thrived, and caravans arrived one after another. Towering structures carved directly into the red sandstone cliffs dominated the landscape. Even today, it's hard to believe it was all done by hand. But wealth couldn't save Petra. Over time, the city emptied, trade vanished, and the people left. Centuries passed. Sand buried the roads, and the world slowly forgot. For nearly 1,000 years, Petra was nothing more than a myth, until a lone explorer found it once again. But how did ordinary nomads build one of the greatest cities of the ancient world? Why in the middle of a harsh desert? Where did the wealth, water, and thousands of residents come from? To understand this, we have to go back to the very beginning. Over 2,000 years ago, these lands were chosen by a people who called themselves the Nabateans. They didn't build a massive empire or conquer their neighbors. Their greatest asset was the desert itself, a place they knew better than anyone else. They mastered the shifting sands, navigated deep canyons, tracked down hidden water sources, and safely guided caravans. Gradually, they seized control of the most vital trade routes in the Middle East. For weeks, caravans crossed the burning wastes, carrying luxury fabrics, spices, and precious incense. If the water ran out, both the people and their priceless cargo perished. That's why a safe haven in the desert was worth more than gold. This was exactly the kind of sanctuary the Nabateans decided to build among these cliffs. But there was a massive problem. Water was practically non-existent. Most people would have abandoned the idea right then and there. But the Nabateans didn't look for a river. They decided to create one. During the rare rainstorms, water would rush down the rocks and vanish into the sand. The Nabateans realized that if they could capture every single drop, the desert would no longer be their enemy. This single insight would change Petra's destiny forever. With every downpour, thousands of liters of water flash flooded the canyons, only to be swallowed by the earth. The Nabateans carved channels directly into the stone, redirecting the water exactly where it was needed. From there, it flowed into clay pipes laid along the gorges, some of which survive to this day, leading to massive underground cisterns where it could be stored for months. Thus, one of the most advanced water systems of the ancient world was born. Suddenly, there was enough water not just to survive, but to thrive. Lush gardens, fruit orchards, fountains, and cool courtyards appeared. After a grueling journey through the scorching desert, travelers felt as if they had stepped into another world. But water was just the beginning. The real wealth came from trade. The more caravans stopped in Petra, the richer the city grew. Merchants bought water and food, paid tolls, repaired their gear, and traded in local markets. Wealth poured in from all over the East, allowing the Nabateans to build increasingly grand structures. But instead of building standard structures, they chose to carve their city directly into the living rock. This very decision would make Petra world famous. But how do you build a palace when all you have in front of you is a solid cliffside? Master carvers stood before a colossal rock face. To anyone else, it was just stone. To the Nabateans, it was a future palace. Instead of building upward, they chipped away the excess, strike by strike, year after year. Most incredibly, they started from the top, working their way down to prevent falling debris from damaging the finished carvings. Gradually, columns, cornices, and majestic facades emerged, sculpted from a single block of stone. There was no room for error. A single misplaced strike could ruin months of agonizing work. This is how Al-Kazne was born, the famous treasury that became the ultimate symbol of Petra. While many mistake it for a temple or a palace, most historians believe it was a royal tomb. Yet, the treasury was just a fraction of the city. Beyond the gorge lay a massive theater, temples, plazas, residential quarters, and hundreds of rock-cut structures. The real Petra was far larger than most tourists imagine. Every morning, long before dawn, workshops fired up their kilns and the streets roared to life. Markets filled with merchants showcasing silks, spices, and gemstones. Dozens of languages echoed through the streets as traders from Arabia, Egypt, Syria, and Rome crossed paths. Petra became a melting pot of goods, cultures, and ideas, cementing its status as one of the wealthiest cities of its era. It seemed nothing could threaten its reign, but the greatest shifts often begin unnoticed. By the turn of the first millennium, Petra had reached the peak of its power. Thousands of merchants passed through its gates, but far to the west, a new superpower was rapidly rising: the Roman Empire. Usually, their arrival meant war. With Petra, it was different. In the year 106 AD, the Nabatean kingdom was annexed into the Roman Empire almost without a fight. Petra was simply too valuable to destroy. It controlled the most lucrative trade routes of the East. At first, life barely changed. Caravans kept coming, markets stayed busy, and the city flourished under Roman rule. But the world around it was shifting. Rome began heavily developing maritime trade routes through the Red Sea. Moving goods by water proved to be faster, safer, and much cheaper. Slowly, caravans began bypassing Petra. At first, only a few traders vanished, and no one paid much attention. Then the arrivals dwindled further, and market stalls sat empty. The once bustling city still looked grand, but its economic heartbeat was fading. However, the worst was yet to come, and this final blow would be dealt by nature itself. One day, the earth beneath Petra trembled violently. One of the most destructive earthquakes in its history had struck. Columns cracked, massive boulders crashed down from the cliffs, and dust choked the streets. But the true catastrophe occurred underground. The tremors shattered the intricate network of channels, pipes, and cisterns that had supplied the city with water for centuries. For any ordinary city, this would be a severe crisis. For Petra, stranded in the dead center of a desert, it was a death sentence. As water reserves plummeted, maintaining gardens and fountains became impossible. Trade was already dying, and now Petra had lost its greatest lifeline, water. One by one, the inhabitants abandoned the city. They loaded their belongings onto camels and walked out through the very gorge that had once brought Petra its immense wealth. Many hoped to return, but most would never see their homes again. Petra faded not just from the earth, but from human memory. Soon, the sprawling metropolis became nothing more than a ghost story. Eras came and went. The city of temples, theaters, and palaces seemingly dissolved into time. Petra vanished from maps, surviving only in ancient legends. Some believed the lost city existed. Others dismissed it as pure fiction. This silence lasted for nearly 1,000 years, until the early 19th century, when a Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt arrived. He learned Arabic, adopted local dress, and traveled disguised as a merchant. Hearing rumors of ancient ruins, Burckhardt determined to find out if they were true. He persuaded a local guide to lead him to an old shrine tucked deep in the mountains. They entered the narrow, sick gorge. With every step, the towering cliffs closed in, concealing whatever lay ahead. And then, suddenly, everything changed. Rounding a bend, the colossal treasury appeared, carved directly into the rose-red rock face. Emerging from the dark canyon, it looked almost surreal. The world had rediscovered Petra, but this was only the beginning of its modern story. Over time, archaeologists realized that the famous treasury was just a tiny fraction of a massive ancient metropolis. Hidden behind the cliffs were temples, tombs, residential districts, a massive theater, and miles of ancient streets. Every new expedition turned another page of a history that sand and stone had guarded for centuries. Even today, archaeologists are still making groundbreaking discoveries here. Modern technology allows experts to peer beneath the earth without disturbing the ancient monuments. And it turns out, vast areas of Petra remain completely unexplored. Entire buildings and streets may still be sleeping beneath the sand. Petra's story is rewritten with every single find. Yet, even today, this city inspires us with more than just its beauty. The Nabateans proved that the harshest conditions can spark the greatest innovations. They turned a barren wasteland into the epicenter of global trade, mastered the art of saving every drop of water, carved a monumental city out of solid rock, and left behind one of the greatest engineering marvels of the ancient world. Today, millions of people travel here to witness what was once considered a mere myth. They walk through the exact same narrow gorge as the merchants did 2,000 years ago, stopping dead in their tracks the moment the treasury reveals itself. In 2,000 years, almost everything has changed. The Nabatean kingdom is gone, the Roman Empire has fallen, and trade routes have shifted. But Petra still stands tall among the red cliffs, a timeless reminder that humanity's greatest achievements aren't born where it's easy, but where people once dared to do the impossible. And if the story of Petra blew your mind, in the next episode, we're heading to a city that was swallowed by the jungle for centuries.